to see the leaky bucket algorithm of Computer Networks Lab. This is experiment number 12 in the VTU syllabus. Yes, what is leaky bucket algorithm? So, leaky bucket algorithm is a congestion control algorithm which helps us to regulate the data flow in the network. Thereby, it reduces the congestion also. So, why the congestion should not happen? If the congestion occurs at the network, what happens? The data will be lost. So, in order to avoid the data loss, we have to find some solution how to reduce the congestion. If too much traffic enters into the network at the same time and all the data wants to get into the network or get to the destination, then it is not possible. Thereby what happens, the traffic occurs, the buffer overflows and the congestion occurs and the data gets lost. So the leaky bucket algorithm is going to provide the solution to regulate the data flow in the network. So as I said, it is a congestion control algorithm, and we can say that it is also be called as traffic shaping. It's a mechanism to control the amount and the rate of the traffic sent to the network. Approach of congestion management is called traffic shaping. Traffic shaping helps to regulate rate of data transmission and reduces congestion, as I said. Then there are two types of traffic shaping algorithms. One is leaky bucket and the other one is token bucket. So in our experiment we are going to see about leaky bucket. Yes. So if I want to water the plant, but the plant needs the water drop by drop, then only it can absorb the water content. Then what I have to do? I cannot stand and pour the water drop by drop. In that case, what I will do is, I will take a bucket, I will put 10 liters of water and I will make a hole under that bucket so that drop by drop data will be flowing to the plant consistently or constantly. Yes, so the same thing is followed here. If so much data enters into the network, then the network cannot manage, the buffer cannot get the data and send it to the destination. So what happens? So even though the incoming traffic is higher or it is bursty, the outgoing data flow should be fixed. That is what is the aim of leaky bucket algorithm. Yes, see here, the right side graph, it shows bursty data. There if you see, from 0 to 2 seconds the data flows at 12 Mbps. From second second to 7th second no data is entering. But if you see 7th second to 10th second, data enters at the rate of 2 Mbps. This is incoming data to the network, into the network. But if it is like this, then it cannot be managed. Then the network cannot manage the data which comes for the first 2 seconds. And it cannot be idle for the next 5 seconds. So what should be done? This 12 Mbps data should be allowed in the fixed rate, so that the traffic will be constant and it will not, no congestion will be there. So this sort of finding the solution which converts the bursty data into the fixed data is the responsibility of the leaky bucket algorithm. Yes. So if the traffic consists of fixed size packets, sometimes what happens, the traffic will be having the packets of same size, like 1 Mbp, all the packets will be of 1 MB. And sometimes what happens, one packet will be of 50 KB and the other packet will be of 1 MB. That is called variable length packets. So if the traffic consists of fixed size packets, the process removes a fixed number of packets from the queue at each tick of the clock. So for every tick, the packets will be removed in case of the fixed size packets. The traffic consists of variable length packets, then the fixed output rate must be based on the number of bytes or bits. Yes. So based on the number of bits or bytes in the packet, we have to design. Yes. So now we'll see the algorithm. We are going to take the parameter as variable length packets. The first step is initialize a counter to n at the tick of the clock. So n is nothing but the how many ticks. And if n is greater than the size of the packet, then send the packet, initialize the counter to n at the tick of the clock. So for every tick, the counter will be maintained counter is set as n. Okay, if n is greater than the size of the packet, this n is nothing but the bucket size. Okay, send the packet and decrement the counter by the packet size. Repeat this step until n is smaller than the packet size. Reset the counter and go to step 1. Yes. Now we'll see how it works with the example. Let n equal to 1000. As I said already, the n is nothing but the size of the bucket we will assume. Okay. So first these are the packets which have arrived and it is in the queue. We will assume that we will follow first in first order. So what is the first packet we are seeing here? If you see, the first packet is 200 here, which is in the queue. First is 200. So what I have to do? I have to check whether n is n is greater than this 200. Yes, n is greater than 200. So my bucket can occupy this 200. It is nothing but the size of the packet. Okay, the data that every packet consists of. So we will assume that 200 kb. Okay, so my bucket size is 1000 will assume. Okay, so 1000 is greater than 200. So very easily I can accommodate this 200 bytes. Okay, I am taking. So once this packet is accommodated in the bucket or buffer, in case of networks it will be buffer, if you talk practically it will be bucket. Okay, so my buffer gets the packet whose size is 200. So 200 bytes of data is occupied already. My bucket size or buffer size is 1000. So what will be the remaining size that is left out in my buffer? That is 800. I can accommodate another 800 bytes of data. So next, who is next in the queue? The packet whose size is 400 bytes. Again, we said like only 800 bytes can be occupied now. So we have to check whether 800 is greater than 400. Yes, it is greater. So I am allowing the next packet. So if I allow the next packet, so out of 800 minus 400, if I do 400. So I can accommodate another 400 bytes of data in my buffer. Yes. Who is there in the next queue? 450. The packet whose size is 450. I can accommodate only 400 bytes of data, but my next packet is of size 450 bytes. So what can I do now? I cannot allow this packet. If I allow, what happens is it will be overflowing. How much will be overflowed? See, only 400 bytes I can accommodate, but I am getting 450 bytes of packet. Then 400 will be accommodated. The remaining 50 bytes data will be overflowing and it will be lost. So this is how the algorithm works. First we have to know what is the size of the bucket or buffer, and whatever the packet size, whether it can accommodate. The packet size should be less than the bucket size or buffer size. If it is less, we can accommodate. If it is more, then the remaining amount will be overflowing, which we call it as packet loss. Yes. Since n is less than front of the queue, therefore the procedure should be stopped. If it comes to 0, then what will happen? We have to stop the procedure. Again initialize n for the next tick. Again we have to start. Initialize n equal to 1000 on next tick. Then we have to repeat the same process. This is how leaky bucket algorithm works. Let me explain with the Java program. Yes. So these are all usual header files. And see class leaky bucket. I am creating a class whose name is leaky bucket. And my integers, my variables are number of queries. Number of queries is nothing but number of ticks I can go with. And the storage. This is the capacity. That's what we said as n. Capacity of the buffer or bucket storage. Output packet size. I said right. So we have to put the hole in the bucket so that we can regulate the data flow. So that the data flow will be fixed. The input will be bursty. it will be variable, but the output data flow should be fixed. That is the ultimate aim of leaky bucket algorithm. So output packet size, these are the three variables. Again we are initializing some variables as integer, that is input, packet size, comma bucket size, comma size left. Input packet size is, we said already, it is of variable size. One packet will be of 200 bytes and the other packet may be of 450 bytes, we saw, right? So input packet size and the bucket size, this is bucket size, and the size left. So how much the size is left. Next, see here, storage is equal to 0. Initially we are keeping initial packets in the bucket as 0. Nothing was stored initially. Number of queries is equal to 4. How many ticks we can do? 4 ticks. And the bucket size, here comes the bucket size, that is counter n. We said, right, that is bucket size. Bucket size is equal to 10. That is total number of packets that can be accommodated in the bucket. There we said as 1000, right? Here we have initialized it as 10. And the input packet size is equal to 4. We'll assume, here we are going to assume it as 4 since they have initialized there. So every packet will be of 4. But if you want to give variable, then for every packet you have to give the size as 400, 200, 300, like that it should move. Then the output packet size, since the aim of the leaky bucket algorithm is of fixed data flow, I am setting it as 1. Okay, only one packet should be moved out every tick, every second. Okay, we said like in a tick we'll be having 4, number of queries is equal to 4. So we can have 4 ticks. Yes. So for int I is equal to 0, I less than 4. How many times we can check? It is 4 times. See, number of queries, that is ticks, is total number of times bucket content is checked. How many number of times we can check the bucket maximum? That is 4. Okay. So int I is equal to 0. I should be less than 4 since we made it as 4. It can be variable also if you want to give the input dynamically. So less I plus plus. Size left is equal to bucket size minus storage. Yes. So how we can find how much can be accommodated still? By subtracting the bucket size minus how much it has been stored. Okay. So size left is equal to, so in a 10 liter bucket, what is the bucket size? It is 10 liter, and the storage, if I put 2 liters of water, then the remaining is 8 liters. That is nothing but size left. So how much size is left now? 8 liters it can accommodate. That is called size left. Next, if input packet is less than or equal to size left, okay, data is coming whose size is 400 bytes, but the left is 350 only. So in the previous case we saw, right? Then what should be done? If input packet size is less than, that is less than the size left, that is if 200 bytes of packet is coming but the size left is 400, then we can take the data and put it in the buffer. Yes or no? So the same thing is done here. Storage is equal to storage plus input packet size. So initially in the first step, here we made it as 0. So during the first step, 0 plus input packet size. According to our example, 0 plus 200. So 0 plus 200 here it will be made. Then system.out.println buffer size is equal to storage. So storage is equal to storage plus input packet size. So 0 plus input packet size was first time 200. So 0 plus 200 is 200. So buffer size is now 200. Then out of bucket size. So what is the entire bucket size? We said it is 10. So in that how much is occupied? 200 bytes is occupied and the bucket size is 1000. Then if the input packet size is, greater than the size left, we saw, right, in the third case 450 was there, but we had only 400 bytes of the bucket can accommodate only 400 bytes. In that case, what will happen? As I said, 50 packets will be lost. Packet loss is equal to input packet size minus size left, as I said. So what will be our input packet size? If it is 450, but the size left is only 400, we said. So 450 minus 400 is 50. So packet loss is 50 bytes of data will be lost. So storage is equal to bucket size. So what would be the storage now? Whatever was the bucket size, it was fully occupied. So the buffer is full now. If you want, I can explain with this pen. Yes. See, first we said 1000 byte is the bucket size. In the queue we saw 200 was there. Okay. And 400 was there. Then 450 was there. So initially when I started, bucket size is 1000. So 1000 minus storage, initially we made it as 0. So storage minus bucket size minus storage will be same. Size left will be 1000 only. 1000 minus 0 is 1000. Then first I am going to the queue. Then I am checking what is the size of the packet. So 200 is the size of my packet. 200 is less than 1000. Yes. So this satisfies the condition. So I am going to the next step, that is storage is equal to storage plus input packet size. What was the initial value? Storage, it is 0. So 0 plus, what is the packet size? It is 200. So in the storage it is 200. Then buffer size is equal to storage. My buffer size, what is the size of my buffer now? 200 is allocated already out of 1000. If the packet size is greater than the available accommodation, then what will happen? The packet will be lost. Because when I take 400, then what will happen? So already 200 is there. 200 plus 400, 600 will be there. Then if again this packet comes, then 450 will be there, which is greater than the packet size. Then what will happen? It will go to this loop, else loop. Then packet will be lost. How many packets will be, how much data will be lost? 600 plus 400 will get into the buffer, but remaining 50 bytes. Out of 450, remaining 50 bytes will be lost, which we call it as packet loss. So now 600 plus 400, 1000 will be there, which is full size. The buffer is full. Storage is equal to now 1000 bytes of data will be there in my buffer. So system.out.println, buffer size is equal to how much data is there in my buffer now? 1000. Out of bucket size, what is the bucket size? My bucket size is 1000. So this is how we'll get the output. We saw the input and how much is occupied. First it checks the buffer size, and if the packet size is less than the buffer size, it will allow. If it is greater than the buffer size, what happens? The packet loss occurs. This is the ultimate thing you have to understand. But we said the output is also there. Output can be regulated. Okay. So if 1 byte of data goes out, then what will happen? The buffer size will also reduce, so that in that space we can accommodate. See. See, when you run the program, you will get like this. Buffer size is equal to 4. See, first, here if you take this program, the bucket size is 10. First packet is arriving whose size is 4. Okay. So, for the packet, so bucket size is 10 here. So first packet comes whose size is 4. So 4. is accommodated. Remaining 6 is left. Okay. The next packet comes whose, since it is constant, we in the program we have mentioned like the packet size is always 4. The second packet comes whose size is also same, that is 4. But when the first packet comes, one packet will be moving out through the, as a output, one packet will be moving out. Yes or no? So how much packet will be remaining now? 3. Once one packet or one byte of data moves out, then what happens? Only 3 will be there. Then the second packet comes. So that is again of size 4. So 4 plus 3 is 7 out of 10. Then during this time what happens? Another 1 byte will go off. So 2 bytes will be reduced. So now what will be the remaining one? When the next packet comes whose size is 4, here also we made it as 3 because from here one drop again moved out. So 3 plus 3 6, 6 plus 4 10. Now the buffer size is 10. If the next packet comes with another 4, then what will happen? It has to overflow. When the fourth packet enters, from the third packet or from the buffer, one more packet would have gone out. Then what would happen? It can accommodate from the fourth packet, it can accommodate one packet, but the remaining from the fourth packet, it can accommodate 1 byte of data, but the remaining 3 bytes will be lost. Clear? From here 3, from here 3, from here 3, right? So 3, 6, 9. From the fourth packet, if it gets again 4 bytes of data, from there it can accommodate, or it can take only 1 byte of data, and the remaining 3 packets would be lost. So how many ticks are there? Only 4 times I can check the buffer. That is 1, 2, 3 and 4. See, buffer size is equal to 10. When I check it for 4th time, bucket size is equal to 10. Already the bucket size is 10 and the bucket size is also 10. So it's already full. Until it gets emptied, it has to wait. Once it gets emptied, by outputting 1 byte of data 1 by 1 like this, after 10 minutes we'll mention, or we will assume like 10 seconds, 1 byte of data will be emptied every second. So after 10 seconds it will be, the buffer will be empty, then it will again accommodate. So, or after 4 seconds also it can accommodate one more packet, because the remaining 4 bytes of data it can accommodate, right? So like this the data will be regulated and we can avoid the congestion in the network. So I hope you understood better. Thank you so much.